His Excellency Mr. Paul Biya, President of the Republic of Cameroon. Your Excellency Mr. Paul Biya, you have the floor.
Madame la Présidente,
Madam President,
Excellences,
Excellencies,
Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement,
heads of state and heads of government,
Mesdames, Messieurs,
ladies and gentlemen,
qu'il me soit d'abord permis
may I first and foremost thank
du
the
Danemark
government of Denmark
d'avoir accordé
for having
l'hospitalité
given
à ce sommet
us
sur les
hospitality
changements
here
climatiques,
in this summit
dont
on climate
l'importance
change,
n'échappe à
a
personne.
summit whose importance escapes
Je
no
voudrais
one.
également dire
I would also
aux
like
autorités
to
danoises
say to the Danish
que nous
authorities
sommes très sensibles aux
that we
attentions
are very sensitive
dont ma
to
délégation et moi-même
the attentions
avons été
which
l'objet
my
de leur
delegation
part.
and myself have received
Par
from
ailleurs,
the Danish authorities.
je ne saurais
Furthermore,
manquer de féliciter Monsieur le Secrétaire
it would
général des
be
Nations
remiss of
Unies
me not
d'avoir pris
to congratulate
l'initiative de
the
ce
Secretary General of
sommet.
the United Nations for having
Mesdames,
taken the initiative
Messieurs,
to organize this summit. Ladies and
Lorsque
gentlemen,
nous avons décidé
when we
de nous
decided
réunir
to meet
ici à
together
Copenhague,
here in Copenhagen,
c'était, je le
it
rappelle,
was, I recall,
dans
with
l'intention de
the
conclure
intention
un
of
accord sur
concluding
les changements
an agreement
climatiques
on climate
qui
change,
prendrait le relais du
which
protocole
would
de
pick
Kyoto
up
à l'expiration de celui-ci.
on what Kyoto was doing after the
Entre-temps,
expiration of
les effets dévastateurs de ces
In the
changements,
meantime, the
mieux
devastating
connus grâce
effects
au
of
progrès
these changes, which are better known
ont
thanks
fait
to
prendre
scientific progress,
conscience par les
have
populations de la planète
made the populations
de
of this
l'importance
planet
de ces
aware
questions
of the
et de
importance of
l'urgence
these issues and
de
the
leur trouver
urgency
des
that there is
réponses.
for us to find answers
Nous
to
sommes tous
these
témoins,
issues.
en
We are
effet,
all witnesses,
des
indeed, of
conséquences
the
néfastes
harmful
des
consequences that
changements climatiques
climate change
sur
is having
l'agriculture,
on
la
agriculture, is
biodiversité,
having on
les ressources
biodiversity,
en eau et bien entendu
biodiversity and
sur
on
l'alimentation
the
et
water
la
resources, and of
santé
course
humaine.
the consequences on food
Mon
and
pays,
human health.
le Cameroun,
My country,
subit
Cameroon,
de plein fouet
is bearing
l'impact
the
de
brunt
ces
of
modifications du
the
climat.
impact of this climate change.
Ainsi, dans la
As a
zone
result, indeed, in
soudano-sahélienne,
the Sudan-Sahelian
situation
region,
est de plus en
the
plus
situation
critique,
is more and more critical.
tandis que la température est
As
en augmentation
temperature
constante.
increases
La
constantly.
pluviométrie continue de
The
baisser,
rainfalls, however,
entraînant
continue
une
to fall,
inexorable avancée du
to
désert.
shrink. And
En
this
une vingtaine
gives rise
d'années,
to a relentless
la
progress
ceinture
of
de production de
the
certaines
desert.
cultures,
Over 20 years, the
comme le coton
belt
et le
covered
maïs,
by a number of crops such
s'est
as cotton
déplacé
and
de
maize
plusieurs centaines
has
de
shifted
kilomètres vers le sud,
several hundred kilometers
exposant la
southwards,
partie
and in doing
septentrionale
so
du
has
pays
exposed the southern
à
part
un
of the country
déficit
to
chronique de la
a
production
chronic
agricole.
agricultural production deficit.
L'assèchement accéléré du lac Tchad
The drying up of Lake
est aussi
Chad,
un
which is
phénomène très
accelerated, is
préoccupant
also
pour le
a very
Cameroun et
a
les
phenomenon
autres
which is a
pays
great cause of
riverains,
concern for Cameroon
qui
and
met en
for
jeu
the
la
other
survie
bordering
des
countries,
populations concernées.
because it jeopardizes the survival of the
Sur
populations
sa
who
façade
live in that
atlantique,
area. On
mon
its
pays est
Atlantic
exposé
shore,
à
my
la
country
dégradation de
is
ses
exposed
écosystèmes
to the
littoraux
degradation of its
en raison de
border
l'ensablement sédimentaire,
ecosystems, because
des
of
inondations
sedimentary
et de la
silting
montée
and
des
because
eaux
of
salées.
floods, and also the rise of
Dans la
salty
partie
water.
sud du
In the
Cameroun,
southern part of
la
Cameroon,
conservation et
conservation
l'exploitation écologiquement
and the
rationnelle
rational
de la
environmental
forêt
management of
tropicale
the tropical
soulève
forest in that
de
area
nombreux problèmes.
give rise
En
to
raison
many
de
problems because of the
l'importance de ce
importance
secteur
of
pour
that sector
l'économie nationale.
for the domestic economy.
Face à cette situation,
Given this
le gouvernement
situation,
camerounais a pris un
the
ensemble de
government
mesures
of Cameroon has
telles que
taken a
la
number
mise
of
sur
measures,
pied
such
d'un
as
plan
the setting
national
up
de
of a
l'environnement
national environment
et d'un
plan,
plan de
as
développement
well
des
as
forêts,
a forest
ainsi que le
development
lancement
plan,
d'une
together
campagne de
with the
reboisement
launching of a
baptisée Opération
reforestation
Sahel Vert,
campaign, which we have
de
caused
concert
Green
avec les
Sahel
pays
operation,
sahéliens de la région.
and we've done this in cooperation with the other Sahelian countries of our region. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 months ago, the heads of state and the heads of government met together in New York in the context of a high-level meeting on climate change, and these leaders expressed their determination to reach here in Copenhagen an equitable global agreement on these issues with the prospect of post-Kyoto in mind. We are therefore take part in this current summit, being convinced that the global nature of climate change calls for solutions which are also global in nature. It is important that the greenhouse gas reduction commitments by developed countries are clearly defined and clearly stated by developed countries. It is important also that transfer of technology be considered so that climate mitigation can take place in developing countries. It is also very important that the proposed monitoring mechanism take into account the different levels of responsibilities countries bear with regards to atmospheric pollution. Indeed, we know that Africa does not participate greatly in greenhouse gas emissions, and yet it suffers greatly from the effects of the pollution generated therefrom. Generally speaking, I believe that it would be fair that in the future arrangements to come with regards to financing and transfer of technology, a particular treatment be granted to developing countries, a special treatment, especially to those countries of the basin of Congo, the Congo Basin. They indeed are making serious sacrifices to be able to maintain and regenerate the second largest forest in the world after the Amazon forest, both of these being the lungs of the planet. Thanks to those two forests, carbon is retained and oxygen is produced. Ladies and gentlemen, this summit is crucial for us. No one would dare to contest that fact. What is at stake is the survival of the human species. Some damage caused by climate change is already irreversible. We must therefore, at all costs, halt this self-destruction process we are witnessing. We will not be able to succeed in doing so unless we have a determined mobilization by each and every one. This is a matter of emergency. Let us not forget. Thank you for your attention.